Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're tearing the engine apart. I'm not sure if this is a how-to video or just this is what the engine looks like after it's been sitting for 10-20 years not running. So yeah, let's just go ahead and glove up and jump on into it. Alright, so before we jump into the meat and potatoes of this video, I just want to say throughout this video I said a lot of things wrong, as in calling things the wrong part. When I'm filming and looking at stuff, my brain doesn't always match what comes out of my mouth. I tried to correct most of it throughout the video, but forgive me if I mispronounce things wrong. Also, I forgot what the main caps were on the, see, like right now, on the crank. So I'm not an expert at any of this stuff. This is only my third engine that I've rebuilt. But just don't destroy me in the comments, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So let's jump into the video. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is take the intake manifold off. Alright, so now that all the bolts are out, now the joy comes of trying to get the intake off. Wow, actually easier than I thought it'd be. The 66 was not that easy. Oh wow. That's it's a little disgusting. So that was not in there, but that's the oil valley, and that is just ugh. So now we're going to take the push rods out, get all the push rods out, and then take the heads off and see what the cylinders look like. Wow, that's just disgusting. So before we take the heads off, I'm just going to take the spark plugs out. Would not suggest using an impact this. Now it's time to get these lifters out. So if you're going to reuse your push rods, you're going to want to keep them in order because they wear differently. So you want to keep your rockers and your push rods in the right order. So just get a 2x4, drill holes in for it, and make sure you label your front. Hopefully without pulling the studs out.
A lot of boring math later.
Alright, so now that the push rods are all out, now we're going to take the heads off. And this block is still full of water. I could not get the plug out. So if you've been on the channel for a while and you saw the original engine pull of the 66, you know I got these heads off and proceeded to puke coolant all over myself. That's tragic. We're going to try not to do that in this one. So now we're just going to unbolt these all, and hopefully this will just pop right out. So
need a bag for all of them?
yeah, let the fun begin. No water, how about that? Well, these are original valves because there is a Ford logo stamped in the head of these valves. So my guess, since it's original valves, this has never been off. These are original pistons. As you can see, the intake and exhaust valves have been hitting every single piston, so they've been coming down too far. But so once we get this all apart, we'll mic the block, see what it's at. My guess it's at standard bore, and currently there's no gouges or anything major I see in this side, so we'll go ahead and spin it and go to the next side, the driver's side. Well, this side has the exact same thing. The intake or the exhaust has been hitting the piston. So we're gonna get new piston heads anyways. So now, guess we'll flip it over and see how bad the oil pan is. Now for the fun part, see what the oil pan looks like. Oh gosh. Oh wow. Look at all that. No wonder why it didn't want to drain. Alright, so we're going to take the harmonic balancer off now. Essentially, this is just a... I don't think it's a pulley puller. It's like a balancer puller basically. So you basically just take the bolts that the pulley bolted to on the balancer and bolt your harmonic balancer puller off onto it. Put that shaft in there, and then, because laziness is a key feature in this garage now that I have impacts, you get your impact, put it on there, and the harmonic balancer is off. So when you're doing this, in the middle of the harmonic balancer there's a bolt that goes into the crank. So this is basically what holds it on there while the engine's running and all that. So I left it in there, but I loosened it, pulled it out some, and then I had this pushing up against there because inside the front of the crank, hold on, let me take you guys off, there's threads, and I didn't want this going down in there and boogering up those threads, so I left that on there to press on the face of this bolt to keep from screwing up my crank. So I would suggest doing that as I make you guys sick trying to get off. But then this just pulls off. There's our C5, so that was the original balancer for this engine. It's probably never been off before. So now that we have that off, we can go ahead and start addressing the timing chain cover. Alrighty. All the bolts should be out now. Except for this long bolt stud. And that is the, oh my gosh. That's the inside of the timing chain. Wow, that's absolutely disgusting. A lot of slop in the timing chain, so it's the original one probably, and there's the gasket that goes in the front of it. So it's obviously shot, which it gets replaced anyways, but that needs a lot of cleaning up. So now that we have the timing chain cover off, we'll go ahead and take the timing chain off. And to do that, we're going to take this essentially bolt keyway type thing that holds the timing chain cover on. Now we got to take this little piece off along with the bolt that is bolted into the crank. Don't put this in a bag yet because you're going to need it to turn the crank over for the to get the pistons out. Now this is where the fun is at. So you can do this one or two ways. I'm going to get my slide hammer and pop it off, or you can just take a pry bar and pry it off. So this top gear is pretty loose, but this bottom one is kind of hit on. It's nice to have the right tools. Timing chain slides it right off. As you can see, this one is nice and corroded. There's the keyway for the crank, or I'm sorry, for the cam. And as you saw before, this had tons of slop. I now have 3 of these. Maybe I'll make something out of them one day. Now we can go ahead and put a bolt in here and actually pull the crank out. Just kidding, we're gonna stay here. So there's I couldn't see it because of all the sludge, but there's a ring here that has a bolt there and there that keeps the cam in. The distributor is also holding the cam. As you can see, all the crap that was on there, that's what I missed. That's what's holding it in. I promise I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, if we're honest. So now we're taking the water pump off. I'm just not doing great in this video. Oil pump, that's what that is. It's just 2 bolts. I'm not going to reuse this water pump. Oil pump, because it's just nasty. This water pump is, this is not a water pump, it's an oil pump. I don't know why I keep calling it a water pump. Alright, so now it's time to take the crank off, and to do that, take the pistons out as well. So in order to take the pistons out, it's pretty straightforward. You just got 2 bolts, or 2 nuts, on each piston rod. Take them off, and then shove them out through the bottom, catch them. And then I have my box down there to put them in. Got driver side, passenger side. And then I put this bolt back in the crank here to be able to turn the crank to help shove them out. And then once those are all out, we'll take the end caps out. So maybe I'll do a time lapse. I don't know what I'll do of taking these out, but let's go ahead and get these pulled out. And now, you can go ahead and take the bolt out of the front of the crank, and then pull the crank out. It's a fair warning, these cranks are heavy. So as you can see behind me is the engine. It's already back together and whatever. That's another video. But I did not film getting the distributor out because it was honestly a giant pain. It was frozen the block, soaked it with PV blaster, everything, a mixture of oil and antifreeze and every trick in the book. I applied heat to it, couldn't get it unstuck. Between all that, PV blaster, so I soaked it for probably like 3 weeks. And heat, I ended up putting a pipe wrench on this, as you can see, with all the marring on it, and I just twisted slowly not to snap this, and with heat eventually it came free and I got it out. But yes, it was a nightmare. A lot of these distributors are frozen blocks, and the only way I've seen how to do it is soak it, heat it, just take your time. And we put a pipe wrench on it, and because there's no good way to get a wrench or anywhere on here, and you're gonna mar the shaft up. My hope is to kind of smooth this out some. I'm not sure how, but yeah, that's how I did it. And then I pulled the cam out, and that was a disassembly of the engine. So a year later that this video is coming out and this is being filmed, thanks for watching. The rebuilding the engine video will be right after this because it's already rebuilt. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys here next time, and have a great day.